Benedict. I'm an athletic trainer with Myo-Fit. I do manual therapy, rehabilitation, and mobility for Myo-Fit for area athletes and non-athletes alike. We're going to be doing a 6-week overhead mobility project, and I am the subject. I have some trouble with doing different positions in CrossFit and life overhead, and I think that this is going to help, and I think that a lot of clients we have suffer from the same problems. So the goals of this project are to increase range of motion, to decrease pain and tension, and to improve our workouts and in daily life. So we will be doing a weekly or bi-weekly update. You can follow along with me. This video is posted on the Myo-Fit Facebook page, and then I will personally post updates of me doing my homework over the next few weeks so that you can follow along. So if you're having some of the same trouble, then you can try to do this program with me, and hopefully we can get moving better. So I'm first going to do a baseline. I'm going to do an air squat, an overhead squat against the wall, and an overhead squat against the wall with a PVC pipe, just so you can see some of my movement inabilities. Okay, so first is the air squat, just so you can see that I can get into a squat position just fine. I can do front rack, back squat, but when I get up against the wall, you're gonna see my movement faults that I have trouble with. So here is the air squat. And then we're going to do the overhead squat against the wall here. So in order to test this, to do it in a perfect world, 100% correct, you would be as close to the wall as you can. We would put our arms up into an overhead position and be able to go into a squat without falling back or losing our balance or anything. So I can't do that, and I'll show you kind of where I get stuck, and then talk about where I feel like I'm stuck and what's tight and causing those issues. So as you can see, I couldn't get down, maybe not even to parallel, definitely not below parallel. When I do that against the wall, I feel like tightness in my hip flexors, and I feel tightness in my back and upper back. So thoracic spine and low back is where I feel some of that tightness that's preventing me from doing that. Here I'm going to do an overhead squat against the wall with the PVC pipe. It adds sort of like as if we have a barbell in our hand. So I'm trying to activate and hold that PVC pipe up, as well as squat facing the wall. Okay, so as you might have been able to see, I got stuck again, but it was easier to do the wall-facing squat with a little bit of weight overhead. But I still felt that in my hip flexors, my low back, and my thoracic spine. So next we're going to talk about some things that we can do to fix that, those movement inabilities. So there are other things. So I have an issue with my hip flexors, the low back, the thoracic spine, and sometimes up in the upper back too, which includes the traps, the rhomboids, the lats, and then our pec muscles too. So there are some people who may have other faults different from mine, and we'll make a second video that kind of goes over what those might be and how we can fix those. But for now, we'll just go over the ones that I'm having trouble with, and then if those are the same as you, then you can just follow along with my program. So for the hip flexors, we want to do a couch stretch. And the way that we do that, there are two progressions for the couch stretch. The first one, you're going to get your knee as close to the wall as you can, and put your foot up onto the wall. For this one, you'll probably be able to get a little bit closer, just because we're going to be in a down position. So right now I feel this at the top of my quad and into my hip flexor, and that is where you should feel it. Remember, with this foot that is in a lunge position, you should push your knee out so that we keep our knees safe. If you can come down onto your forearms. I'm struggling to do that, so I'm not going to. I'm going to keep myself held up here, but I still feel a really good stretch. So I would hold this stretch for at least a minute, and we're going to do it a couple times on each side. Once we've held that for a minute, then we can slowly walk ourselves up into a completely erect position. So if you have to move your knee out from the wall like I just did, that's perfectly fine. We don't want you to put yourself under too much tension, so just go right before the point of pain. Again, we're going to hold this position for about a minute. We're going to do that a couple times on each side. When I was doing the wall-facing squats, I felt a lot of tension in my thoracic spine, and part of the reason for that is immobility and tightness in our pecs, our traps, and our lats. So I'm going to walk through a couple of ways to mobilize those, smash them out, and get them moving a little bit better. First is the pec. So what you're going to do is grab a lacrosse ball. We're going to lay down on the lacrosse ball. You're going to put the ball, start on the just inside of the joint line of your shoulder, and then you're going to move in. For males, you can actually cover the whole pec muscle. Females, we tend to stay just above where the strap of your tank top connects to the rest of the shirt. So what we're going to do is lay down on the lacrosse ball. I like to start with my arm out, and then you can move your arm in sort of an arc position from there. The first kind of level of this mobility is just to let yourself kind of relax around the ball. If it is uncomfortable enough, I would say I would do that for 30 seconds to a minute and then move the ball to another place. If that feels okay and you feel like you can do some range of motion while laying on the ball, that's perfectly fine. You're going to move your arm into an arc position like this. The slower you go with your arm, the deeper that ball is going to get and be more able to break up some of that tissue in there. The other thing that I like to do is once I get to a certain point, I'm going to kind of hook my pec muscle on the ball and just get deeper into the underside of that pec muscle. I think it breaks it up even better. So I'll roll just a little bit and then move my arm and kind of rock myself over that pec muscle. Then you can, after you spend a few seconds in one spot, you just move down to other spots that hold pec muscle area. Next, we'll do the lats. The lats do cover the majority of the back, but they also wrap around underneath your shoulder blade and hook into your shoulder. So sometimes that prevents movement in our overhead position. So if this is tight here, holding down the shoulder blade, that's going to prevent us from getting into certain ranges of motion. So to mash that out, we're going to put this lacrosse ball into almost our armpit and on the underside of our shoulder blade. We want to keep it in this meaty part right here, kind of where you can hold onto the shoulder blade and push in with your thumb. So we'll put the ball about halfway down the armpit and then lay on our side with our arms stretched out like this. So what I'll do is slowly rock myself back and forth so that I can really dig into that lat. I'll move down after a few seconds and just work that whole area here. Sometimes I'll get to a point where I push and I just rock on this one knot if you find a knot, otherwise just work that whole lat muscle. Alright, the next problem area is the trap muscle. This one is hard to do on your own, so we can help you with that, but if we're not available or you're not able to see us, you want to do this at home, you can grab a PVC pipe, lay it up against a wall, and work on your trap that way. So we're going to lay on our back for this. And we're going to put our trap up against this PVC pipe and use our feet to apply pressure against the end of the PVC pipe. So what I would say is either A, you can just kind of push in there, work on a spot, relax after 30 seconds or so, and move that PVC pipe to another spot and push again. Or while you're pushing with your feet to apply that pressure, you can move your arm in different ranges of motion. Remember to go nice and slow, and that's going to get that PVC pipe into those muscles a little bit deeper. The next movement that we're going to do that helps thoracic mobility and scapular mobility is the wall angel. This one is difficult to do, just like the rest. So the technique is to put your feet under you comfortably, comfortable distance away from the wall. In a perfect world, we would have our feet a little bit closer to the wall, our back in a tilted position to where our low back is against the wall, our elbows touching the wall and our wrists touching the wall, and be able to go into an arched position like this. I can't do that, so I'm going to put my feet a little bit away from the wall. I'm going to roll my hips forward so that my low back is flat. I'm going to keep those points of contact on the wall and then start in a 90-degree position and come up like this. So I feel like I get stuck in this position, so I'm not going to push it because I want to keep my arms against the wall the whole time. I'm just going to come back to that starting position, and I would recommend doing about 10 of these each time. The other thing you can do is either move your feet out further and come into more of a squat position, or you can sit all the way down against the wall, just make sure your whole back is touching, and do that position like that. So again, it makes it a little bit easier to get into the squat or seated position. Do 10 of those. The next thing would be the thoracic extension mobility. We're going to do that with a foam roller. With this one, you're going to start at about mid-back. You want to figure out where your sternum ends and where that kind of shoots through to your back, and that's where we're going to put the foam roller. We're going to keep our knees bent through this. We'll lay back on the foam roller. We're going to go into a bridge position. When we do that, we want our head to touch the ground, and then we want to slowly lower our hips to the ground secondly. If our head starts to come up, that's perfectly fine. That's just where we are in this movement. So what we can do then is put our arms above and rest here for 30 seconds to a minute. As you can see, this is an overhead squat position, so this is why it helps with our overhead mobility. Once we spend 30 seconds to a minute in that one spot, we're going to roll the foam roller up our back just a little bit and do the same thing in the next position. Again, we're going to lift our butt into the air, into a bridge, lower our head, and then lower our hips. The goal is for the head and the hips to be on the ground at the same time. Mine is kind of hanging there. If this is too uncomfortable, you can always put a pillow under your head so that you're not just hanging there. And then we're going to put our arms overhead into that overhead position. So when you're in this position, if you stay tensed, everything's it's not an effective mobility technique. So try to relax as much as you can. Let your body kind of form around the foam roller. Spend a minute there, and then you'll roll up into about one more position. I wouldn't go any further than between your scapulas. All of that was our 6-week overhead mobility project, and I will be doing all of those exercises in that order and for the duration of each for the next 6 weeks. So feel free to follow us along on Myo-Fit Mobility and Therapy Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, as I'll be uploading videos throughout the 6 weeks just to keep myself accountable and let you guys know the progress that's being made by doing this mobility program. Feel free to leave comments on the videos that I post. letting me know your progress, or if you have any questions regarding this project. If you have any other questions or concerns that come up regarding overhead mobility, any other kind of mobility, aches, pains, injuries, feel free to shoot me an email. It's Jessi, Jessi, .myofit@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. Also, if you'd like to get scheduled with me, you can email me or go to our website at myofittherapy.com and schedule through the website. I hope you guys have some luck with this, and we are moving better in the end.